A stock we are watching, Electronic Arts, fell a little more than 2% in the session, its worst performance in more than a month. This after a Kotaku report that EA may delay the release of its highly anticipated Anthem game early next year. Well, the cloud identity company Okta is out with its annual Businesses at Work report. It is an in-depth look into how organizations and people work today, exploring the apps and services used to help productivity. The top apps: Microsoft Office 365, Salesforce, Amazon AWS, G Suite, and Box. However, one of the more interesting highlights is on security data. Joining us now to break down the research, Todd McKinnon, CEO of Okta. Todd, thank you so much for joining us. So you have more information here about where threats to enterprises are coming from. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is our 4th annual Businesses at Work report, and it really gives our customers and the whole industry an insight on what's happening in the broader ecosystem. And we see everything from what applications are being used and what's the fastest growing application and what trends there. And one of the trends, as you mentioned, is around security. The first thing is that of the top 15 fastest growing apps, 7 of them are actually security tools. So it's something we've never seen before. It's like people aren't just using applications, but they're using technologies to secure those applications. Things like the fastest growing of those tools was something called Jamf, which is a security and management tool for Macs. So people use more Macs in the workplace. Jamf is the fastest growing app. Things like Cloudflare and Sophos and these things that are really kind of the guts of security departments and companies. But with all these security threats we're seeing, they're becoming a big deal, and companies are invested in those technologies.
What trends are you seeing from the threats themselves?
Well, the big takeaway in terms of the threats themselves is that where they're coming from geographically. So you hear people talk about security threats, and it's always like from China or always from Eastern Europe. And I say, like, well, what do we have against them? I mean, and what we've seen in the data is that security threats are really originating from all different kinds of countries, Europe, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, even from the United States. And what the takeaway for us is, you can limit your security exposure by limiting the geographies that can connect to your system. So if you're capable of locking down access to your systems from certain geographies, you should do that, and you should use technologies that allow you to do that.
The report also talks about the effectiveness of password policies. Yeah. How effective are they?
Yeah, exactly. So there's in the security arsenal, there's no one silver bullet. You can't just lock down things geographically. You also have to use, and the report bears this out, you have to use strong passwords, and you also have to use multi-factor authentication where it's appropriate. You have to make sure that accounts are turned on and off at the right times, and it's really, security folks have a hard job, and it's this, luckily there's this, a lot of technology around to help them be more secure.
Are you finding that password policies aren't as effective as they should be?
I think the problem with password policies is that they're not always appropriate for the level of information being secured. So you get this phenomenon where you have these crazily restrictive rules about complexity for something that may not even be that secure, or may not even be that sensitive. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you'll have something that is, doesn't have enough complexity, doesn't have enough multi-factor authentication, isn't high enough security. So with a way to kind of put the right security restrictions on the right data based on sensitivity, that's really the holy grail for customers.
So you had a very successful IPO, one of the more successful ones of 2017. Of course, the question now is, can you keep it up? Who are you taking share from among your competitors, one of which is Microsoft, which is it's a big company?
Yeah, we're very fortunate to really have pioneered this category of this concept of an identity cloud, which is, before Okta, all the identity products were really seen as point features or add-ons to other platforms, and we've really pioneered this idea that identity is its own cloud. It is a standalone platform.
What does that actually mean?
It means that there's value in connecting any kind of technology to any people, and having that pre-built set of integrations that allow companies to seamlessly pick the technology they want to use and seamlessly deploy and connect it securely to their users. That removes a lot of friction, and that enables businesses to adopt technology faster and helps their own companies be more strategic and grow and make their employees more productive.
So you basically provide security to companies that use multiple kinds of cloud apps.
Yeah.
So maybe if you use Microsoft Office and Box and Workday, you can have a seamless use of all of those across.
Exactly. Or if you're building a new customer website or a better mobile app for your customers, you can have stronger security that's easier to use on that front as well.
So who are you taking share from?
I think it's really, it's a new category. I mean, the concept of identity as a first-class platform is a new category, and as more companies adopt the cloud, there's legacy competitors from the big identity suites from companies like Oracle or CA or IBM, but largely it's a new category as the cloud emerges, and we're there to fill that gap.
So where do you see opportunities to expand the product and to expand geographically in the near term?
Yeah, the product is it's very broad. We do everything from, I mentioned, customer identity to employee identity. So there's, the product's already very broad, and we'll continue to enhance the areas we have. I think the big growth is going to be internationally. Only about 15% of our sales now are internationally, partly because North America is so strong. But last time I looked, more than 15% of the people are in the, or not all in the U.S. So we have a lot of.
So where internationally?
Yeah, primarily a lot of growth in Europe, on the continent of Europe, and then expanding out to Asia Pacific and eventually Japan as well.